Hi, Susan Patel here, and we're going to do a self-assessment to recognize seductive behavior. And so you can see if you are being seduced or maybe have some unrecognizable, recognizable patterns within yourself, but unrecognized to your conscious mind until this point. So let's just see how it goes. You can download this for free on my website. This is not anything that we will look at. You can download it for yourself. You can print it out for yourself, and then you can do your own self-evaluation. So we will not be looking at your answers. You print it out and do not send us your answers. I don't want to know them. I want you to be able to do your own self-awareness, okay? So instructions for this is the self-assessment is designed to help you reflect on your thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors in relation to temptation and sinful behavior. Please answer the questions honestly and choose the response that best fits your thoughts and experiences. Remember, your answers will only be seen by you. This is an opportunity for personal reflection and growth. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the questions. You can answer them to yourself if you're watching the video. And like I said, if you want to see your point score, feel free to download it, answer it, and then calculate your points. Okay, question number 1 is, how often do you find yourself justifying behaviors that go against your moral or spiritual beliefs? And here are the answers. Never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. Okay? I'll ask the question again. How often do you find yourself justifying behaviors that go against your moral or spiritual beliefs? Question number 2. When faced with temptation, how likely are you to prioritize your immediate desires over your long-term values and commitments? That's a really, really good question. When faced with temptation, how likely are you to prioritize your immediate desires over your long-term values and commitment? Not likely at all, somewhat likely, moderately likely, very likely, or extremely likely. And I'm going to add this one in. I just felt like the Holy Spirit is telling me some people will gauge this based upon whether or not they feel that they will get caught. So be sure to know if that's in your thought, then you're already needing help, okay? So number 3, how often do you compare your life or actions to those of others, especially when it seems like they are living without facing consequences for their behavior? Okay, how often do you compare your life or actions of others, especially when it seems like they are living life without facing consequences for their behavior? It's really easy to see somebody doing the wrong thing and have no consequence for it to think that you could do the same thing. So is that never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always? How often do you compare your life or the actions of those of others, especially when it seems like they're living life without facing consequences for their behavior? Okay, number 4. When making decisions, how often do you consider the potential consequences of your actions, especially in relations to your relationships, spiritual well-being, and integrity? When making decisions, how often do you consider the potential consequences of your actions, especially in relations to your relationships, spiritual well-being, and integrity? Always, often, sometimes, rarely, never. Question number 5. Do you find yourself engaging in flirtatious behavior, using suggestive language, body language, or innuendos to create romantic or sexual interest? So this is your own self-assessment. This is not somebody doing this to you. This is if you are doing this, okay? Do you find yourself engaging in flirtatious behavior, using suggestive language, body language, or innuendos to create romantic or sexual interest? Okay, question number 6. How often do you entertain lustful thoughts, fantasies, especially regarding individuals other than your spouse or your partner? And remember, you don't need to answer this to anybody but to yourself. And the answers are never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. How often do you entertain lustful thoughts or fantasies, especially regarding individuals other than your spouse or partner? And question number 7. Have you ever acted upon sexual impulses or desires outside of the bounds of your committed relationship or marriage? Never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. And question number 8. There's not too many questions on here, so we're almost done. Question number 8. When faced with the difficult situations or conflicts, how likely are you to resort to manipulation, coercion, or deception to achieve the desired outcome? Not likely at all, somewhat likely, moderately likely, very likely, extremely likely. And number 9, how often do you engage in behaviors that compromise your integrity or moral values, especially in pursuit of personal gain or gratification? Never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. How often do you engage in behaviors that compromise your integrity or moral values, especially in pursuit of personal gain or gratification? Question number 10, and then we're going to get to scoring. How often do you seek validation or fulfillment through external sources such as material possessions, status, or relationships rather than the spiritual or emotional fulfillment? Okay. Never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. How often do you seek validation or fulfillment through external sources such as material possessions, status or relationship, rather than spiritual or emotional fulfillment? Never, rarely, occasionally, frequently, always. The scoring right here. Assign 5 points for every always response. Assign 4 points for every frequently response. Assign 3 points for occasionally response. Assign 2 points for rarely response. And assign 1 point for never response. Now, this is how you scored based upon your answers. If you have 40 to 50 points, high likelihood of exhibiting behaviors aligned with temptation and sinful behavior. If you scored between 30 and 39 points, moderate likelihood of exhibiting such behaviors, opportunity for growth and reflection, and scoring between 20 and 29 points, some tendencies towards temptation and sinful behavior, areas for improvement, and self-awareness. And if you scored between 10 and 19 points, low likelihood of exhibiting such behaviors, strong foundation in moral and spiritual values. And then if you score between 5 and 9 points, minimal likelihood of exhibiting such behaviors, commendable, commitment to moral integrity and spiritual well-being. Remember, the self-assessment test is intended for personal reflection and growth. Use your results as a guide to identify areas for improvement and consider seeking support or guidance from trusted individuals or spiritual advisors if needed. All right, I hope this helps you out. God bless.